Okay, so we're back and ready for another deep dive. Today, it's all about Ghana, specifically their recent election. You guys send in some really interesting stuff on this, and, well, let's just say this wasn't your typical election. There's a bigger story here, a pattern in Ghana's politics that we need to unpack.
Definitely some interesting trends to dig into.
Yeah, for sure. So, really quick, just to set the stage, John Dramani Mahama, back in the big chair, right?
Yeah.
Defeated the incumbent VP, Mahamudu Bawumia.
Right.
And the thing is, it wasn't even close. Mahama snagged a solid 56.5% of the vote. I mean, that's a landslide, isn't it? Not just a win, but a serious comeback story.
Absolutely. A comeback for sure. Mahama, he was president before 2012 to 2017.
Oh, right, yeah.
So to see him back in power, especially after a term out, it's pretty significant. Tells you something about the voters' trust in him. Maybe there's a feeling that he's the right guy to tackle the challenges Ghana's facing right now.
Yeah, those challenges. Can't ignore the elephant in the room.
Right.
Or should I say the cocoa bean in the room?
Yeah.
The economy. Ghana's going through a tough time. Cost of living is through the roof, and it seems like the voters wanted a change.
It definitely played a role.
Big time. And Mahama, in his victory speech, even said he was going to reset the economy. Talked about addressing, basic needs like housing, healthcare, wages. Those are big promises.
They are, but those are the things people care about.
For sure. So it wasn't just like charisma or name recognition, right? He really tapped into what people are struggling with. Did his campaign actually lay out specific economic policies? Things that would really connect with the average voter?
Oh, yeah, definitely. His campaign was smart. They zeroed in on what we call bread and butter issues, like Muhammad talked about cutting taxes on essential goods, stuff everyone needs.
Makes sense with prices going up.
Exactly. It's a direct response to that cost of living crisis. And he also, he emphasized jobs, creating jobs, especially for young people. Youth unemployment is a big problem there.
Yeah. So these weren't just vague promises. They were tangible things that people could latch on to.
Right. Solutions that people could actually see benefiting them directly.
Okay, so we've got Mahama back in power. The economy was a major driver. But let's not forget about the bigger picture here. Ghana has this reputation for being a pretty stable democracy. I mean, this election, international observers even praised it for being peaceful, transparent. Bawumia, the VP, he conceded gracefully. That might seem like, oh, whatever, of course, but you look at West Africa and, well, things aren't always so smooth. Ghana really stands out in that way.
Absolutely. It's a beacon, like you said. Peaceful transitions of power, that's the bedrock of any real democracy. And Ghana, they've got a solid track record on that. It shows stability, and it really matters. For attracting foreign investment, building international partnerships, it all comes into play.
Makes sense, yeah. Stable, reliable. So Ghana's got a good history, but what about this specific election? Voter turnout was around 60%, right? Is that good for Ghana? What does it tell us about how engaged people were this time around?
Well, 60% isn't bad, but it's a little lower than what Ghana's seen in the past. Like in 2020, they were closer to 68%.
Oh, interesting. So a bit of a dip. Why do you think that is?
Hard to say for sure. It could be a bunch of things, voter apathy, people disillusioned with politics in general, or maybe even just logistical stuff making it hard for people to get to the polls.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, how do you get those numbers back up? But even with a dip, one thing's clear, right? Ghanaians, they're not afraid to switch things up when they're unhappy, especially when it comes to the economy.
Exactly. It's a recurring theme. You look back at their recent political history, and it really shows how much power the swing voter has. Those folks who are willing to change their vote based on how their wallets are feeling, it keeps the pressure on the leaders,
Yeah.
You got to stay responsive to the people, or you might find yourself out of a job.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Accountability matters.
No.
Okay, so let's sum up what we've learned from this deep dive into the Ghanaian election. Mahama's back. The economy played a huge role, and Ghana is still holding strong as a model for democracy in the region.
Exactly. And here's something to chew on as you keep following Ghana. Mahama's win, driven by those economic anxieties, it might actually signal a shift in their foreign policy, too. We might see them leaning more towards Pan-Africanism, focusing on economic partnerships within Africa itself. It'll be interesting to watch how that unfolds.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. All right, thanks for diving in with us, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one.